Hey everybody, it's Jane. I just wanted to do a quick tutorial on how to use the Autentico powders. We have the rust in a jar, we've had that for a while, but we just got in the beautiful verdigris or copper patina powders. They're gorgeous. There's 6 of them, there's a lot of them. And you can check them out at the website. But I'm gonna try to create a really antique verdigris kind of copper patina. So what I started with were, and I have 3 moldings that I've begun so you guys don't have to sit through drying and all of that. But I used the Autentico Vintage in Nocturnal. That's their true black. And I did 2 coats on these moldings. Next, to kind of create a little more depth, I took a sponge, and I'll show you how I did that, a natural bristle sponge, and I used, it's a color called Lazy Sunday, and it's kind of like a coffee beigey color. But I wanted something kind of drab that I could just put on top to begin to develop the layers, the depth. So I took this, make sure you really mix your paint well, sponge, and I dipped it in some warm water, squeezed it out, and you need the smallest amount. This would look really beautiful on a carved piece of furniture, a mirror frame, anything like that. You do kind of need, for what I'm doing here, some detail in there. All right, so take that sponge and just dab away. We're not going for that 1980s sponged wall look. So I keep turning the sponge as I move. And like I always say, the Vintage is a really forgiving paint. If you put too much of your second color on, you just get the first one and you can actually rinse out your sponge and dab some of that out. But that's what I did, and this is our dried piece, to create this. And you can have fun doing this alone, just kind of sponging different colors on. But we're not gonna stop there. Next, what I have to do is wax this, because we're actually gonna be putting the powders into the wax. It's a different way to use these powders, but it's really cool. You could actually add these powders to wax to create your own waxes. You can use the sea salt fizz mixed in with them. You could do a lot of really cool stuff. All right, so take a little bit of the clear wax, like I always show. We only need a little tiny bit. Put it on a cardboard palette. And I'm gonna apply just a nice, thin, even coat. And like I always say, the wax has to be put on with a natural bristle brush, especially when you have a piece like this with lots of details. You want to get in there so that the powders will have something to grip. All right, so we have to wait for this to dry a little bit before we do the next step. And I don't know why I have this third piece painted, but we're not going to be using that. So let me show you these powders. There's 2 that I'm going to be using. These are the rust powders, and there's 3 of them. There's red, there's the dark color, and then there's the golden. So I'll probably use the middle tone for this because it's going to be underneath the copper patina powders or verdigris. But these are really beautiful. And you can see They're a dry powder and a little goes a long way. So we're gonna be using that. And these patina powders come in the blue and the green. So we have the light blue, the medium blue, and the dark blue, they're just gorgeous. They're really, really beautiful. And we have the greens, light green, and here's the medium green, and the dark green. Again, really gorgeous. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna use yet. It'll be a surprise. So I'm waiting, and this feels pretty good. This wax today, it's drying really fast. You're also gonna need some natural bristle brushes. I have these little 1-inch Amy Howard natural bristle brushes are perfect for this. We're waiting for the wax to not dry completely, but kind of a little bit. And this is exactly where we want it to be. If you're in like a hot, humid place, it's gonna take longer, you know, so you'll be able to, let me get that hair out from the brush. That's the problem with natural bristle brushes. No matter what brand you get, there's every once in a while one of the little bristles comes out. But anyway, we're waiting for it to come to, it's not quite coming to tack like I talk about with gilding, but dry. It's not oily on my fingers. All right, first thing we're gonna do with this part of it is I'm gonna dip my brush into the red rust powder. And it just fits in here. A little bit more. And I'm just pouncing this around. Maybe I'll use one of the other colors mixed in. Yeah, why not? I've got them all in front of me. I'll take a little bit of the dark rust powder with a different brush. And if you use these a lot, it's good to tag your brushes. You know, this is for the dark, this is for the light, and so you don't start muddying them all up. All right. Just taking a little bit of this, pouncing it into the wax. All right, and then the next thing I'm going to do is really grind it down in. And I'm using, you know, this is the brush that I dipped into the dark powders. And then for that medium, the red, I'm just working that in. That alone is really beautiful, but we're gonna take it even further. All right, let me cover this. Make sure you cover them up. You don't want to dump these out. And I'm gonna use, I think, the medium blue. I'll use the medium blue and the dark green. There, I've made my decision. All right, and on this goes. Now this is a powder, so if you're sensitive, wear a mask because you're pouncing it around and it is going into the air. All right, cover that up. And this gorgeous dark green. And now same thing. So you see why you have to have that wax that's in process of drying, is not completely dry, or this won't work. And if you did start and it just wasn't working and you realized you let your wax dry, put on another coat of wax and you'll be good to go. Okay. And isn't that beautiful? I always get this camera. So you get this just really beautiful, deep texture with the black, the Lazy Sunday, the rust powders in 2 different colors, and the copper patina powders. I'm just gonna take a rag, a cloth here, and give it just a little bit of a buff. And there it is. This would just be stunning on a mirror. It's really beautiful. You can mess around with different colors of paint. I always suggest, you know me, do a test first so you don't, commit to a giant piece and you don't like how it's going. But it's just a brilliant way to add depth and texture, and without, you're aging without sanding or taking anything away. You're just layering on. So there you go, you guys. I'm gonna be posting on all my pages and groups. If you have questions, make sure you ask in the comments and I will answer them as best I can. Thanks for watching. Again, it's Jane from Chalk Mercantile and Surface Anthology, and we'll see you next time.